It's the show the establishment warned you about.
That's right. It's the Dr. Tommy Show, broadcasting live from the free state of Florida from Echelon Health Studios. Glad you're joining us today on the day before Good Friday. And I am here with my wonderful co-host, Tracy McElroy.
Good morning.
And we are related
We
by
are.
marriage.
Yes.
There's a Kinks album that I have. It's the Kinks to the Bone, which is their last studio album, and it's a series of live recordings alternating between concert and they did some recordings in their studio called Conk. And at the beginning of the album, they talk about this song called Muswell Hillbillies. And Ray Davies, who's the lyricist and main songwriter for the Kinks, says there's a true story behind this, which you may possibly know. And then he says that it is based upon when they moved to Muswell Hills from London, and they kind of like tried to clean up the, I guess, outskirts of London, which had in his description like the lower class Londoners. Anyway, he said Dave and I, who's his brother, he says, are related. He says same mother, different fathers. But they didn't. They had the same father.
Why do you say that then?
I don't know. He and his brother always had a kind of a, what do you call it? Not a healthy relationship. So anyway, I mean, they had a healthy relationship, but they were kind of adversarial. Anyway, that's interesting. So we're related. This is Tracy and I. And then I wanted to talk today about some of these new medicines that are on the market, because I actually just had a patient this morning. She asked me about them, and they're the GLP-1s, which are the most effective weight loss medicine that we've seen come down the line.
Oh, so a patient, she's interested in them?
No, she wasn't. She's actually, she said, well, she's interested in them and knowing about them, but she thought maybe that they would, she wondered if they work for her.
Okay.
I told her it only works for you if you have significant amount of weight to lose. You can move your mic like that.
Yeah, and I
just move this guy.
I know
Move this frame.
Know which patient you're talking about. She doesn't have any weight to lose, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I told her that they're the most effective weight things that we've seen come down the line ever. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So here's a little thing I did today. Let's see where it is. So I brought up Copilot, and he or she did this little guide here. And so basically it's a guide that looks at the different, well, it's not going to work. It's a guide that looks at the different types of peptides that we have on the market now, and one that's coming out. So it's Semaglutide versus Tirzepatide versus, how do you say that one? Retatrutide?
Oh, yeah, that one is still in research, isn't it?
Right. So two of them are on the market, and one of them is currently available.
Right. So however you pronounce that, the Retatrutide, there are people that are taking it.
Retatrutide, yeah.
In the gym, apparently, from what a patient told me. So they're getting it from a research pharmacy already.
Yes. Which is not approved, quote unquote.
It's not approved.
It's not regulated at all.
It's not regulated. It's not in legit compounding pharmacies that are monitored.
Now, so that draws the distinction of what is approved and what's not approved. So right now, the only approved ones that are made by commercial pharmacies are the Semaglutide and Tirzepatide. But you can also get Tirzepatide and Semaglutide from compounding pharmacies.
Yes.
And one of the differences between those is I was looking up this morning, and they said you cannot use the exact synthetic peptide. You have to alter it somewhat. So apparently they're altered a little bit.
You mean the compounding pharmacies are altered a little bit?
Yes, they are different, not exactly like the synthetic peptide that Lilly makes or that Novo Nordisk makes.
Right. The compounding pharmacies cannot make the exact same medication that the commercial pharmacy provides. They have to alter a little bit. So our pharmacy that we deal with, they put in B12.
Right. But they also apparently have to alter the chemical a little bit too.
Okay. And yeah, I think that makes sense too. We have one patient who said that she tried the commercial and she's used the compounding Tirzepatide before, and there is a difference. It was a little bit stronger. The commercial pharmacy product was a little bit stronger than the compounding. It felt stronger, more appetite control.
She did? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. But we've had patients who are doing the compounded version who have lost a lot of weight.
Yeah,
So Tirzepatide is our primary one. And talk about the difference between Tirzepatide and our experience in Semaglutide.
Well, Semaglutide, almost every patient had either constipation or diarrhea, nausea, and then you have fatigue, extreme fatigue, usually when you inject, usually a couple days after. With Tirzepatide, there's minimal side effects, if any at all.
And then the price difference, if you're going to pay cash, which most people in our practice have to pay cash, because I don't know if anybody, I don't know, maybe there's somebody out there whose insurance pays for Zepbound. Actually, we had one patient who I sent Zepbound for, and they said, oh yeah, it's covered, and your copay is $500 a month. So that's like not really covered.
Right, and that's not really covered. And Zepbound is Zepbound the one that's covered if you have sleep apnea, right?
It's approved for sleep apnea. It's not necessarily covered, but
right,
it's
approved for sleep apnea. And also there's a drug that is now approved for fatty liver disease.
I think it's Zepbound as well.
Okay.
MASH, they call it now. Metabolic, blah, 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 something. Steatohepatitis, I don't know.
But you do have to get a scan of your liver for staging.
Okay. So Tirzepatide is better tolerated by our patients.
Most definitely.
And it also, according to this little thing here, according to the studies, it looks like there's down here on weight loss, it says max weight loss with Semaglutide, or as they say it on the commercial, Semaglutide. It says weight loss is 15 to 17% max. I don't know if that's true though, because we had a patient that lost more than that, I think, on Ozempic.
So only 15 to 17%. I don't know. I feel like I've tried it myself, and you do feel nauseous. So I don't know. You probably the weight that you're going to lose for most people is because you cannot eat because you're so nauseated. I don't know. Just Tirzepatide is a much better product.
And then Tirzepatide, it says here, is 21 to 22%. And then this Retatrutide is going to be apparently 24 to 29%. And that's still in the study. So that's phase 2 studies. Phase 3 here, it says.
I think that drug's going to be available next year.
It says 2027.
Okay.
We're down here. 2027, 2028.
Okay.
Now, here's the question. Lilly is the manufacturer for both Tirzepatide, and if this Retatrutide gets approved for it too. So what's going to happen to Tirzepatide? Are they going to lower the cost of it? That'd be great.
That would be great. I don't know. So it's going to be the new drug. It's coming out next year or 28. It's going to be even better than Tirzepatide. So we're seeing already a decrease in people wanting to use Semaglutide, and because Tirzepatide came about.
Yeah.
So it was even a better product. So I would imagine this new drug coming out next year is going to be even better than Tirzepatide. But of course, it's going to have a higher price tag, most likely.
I think what it's going to do is, I don't know. I think that Tirzepatide is so effective. If you take Retatrutide, or however you say it, if people take that, then it's going to be like licensed just to do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be almost going to be like if it works the way that they say it's going to work, it's going to be like magic pill time.
Right.
You know, you don't, because with Tirzepatide, we tell patients, well, you need to try to do this to be healthy, exercise, blah, blah, blah. If this Retatrutide comes out and it's as effective as they are claiming it's going to be, it's going to be like magic pills. People are just going to take them and then
I know,
sit on the couch.
Yeah. Well, Tirzepatide, it seems like a lot of people can take it. They can take it without exercising.
Right.
And they still manage to lose weight.
Right.
Because you're eating less.
Already.
Right. So, yeah, it's going to be, I think people already think that Tirzepatide's a magic.
Now, we do have some patients that are not losing as much as they want, but they're not on significant doses. So the dose can go anywhere from, according to what Wegovy or Zepbound is prescribed, up to 15 milligrams, which for the compounded product that we provide to our patients through our compounding pharmacy would be 150 units, but no one does 150 units.
Well, we had one patient taking it.
He was doing Zepbound though.
Oh, he was doing Zepbound.
He was getting it from Lilly.
Okay.
So you can get it from Lilly for, I think it's like $500 a month cash. And you go through Lilly Direct and blah, blah, blah. And if you're taking 150 units, which is 15 milligrams, it would make more sense to get it from Lilly because the price that you can get from compounding. So the break point, I think, for compounding, where it makes more sense to get it from Lilly, is around 100 units, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's basically the break-even point.
Mm-hmm.
So for our prices, what we can get it for from compounding pharmacies compared to what Lilly sells it for, if you're going above 100 units per week, which would be 10 milligrams, then it's basically, that's the break point of when it makes as much sense to get the compounded or the Zepbound from the manufacturer.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, I think if people do that, I mean, if you look at this thing, it says that, so the receptor targets, this is the way it works. GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1. And then that's for semaglutide. And then for tirzepatide, it's GLP-1 plus GIP, which is gastrointestinal peptide, I believe. And then Retatrutide is going to be GLP-1 plus GIP plus glucagon. And that's what they call a triple agonist, the triple G.
Oh, people might not be able to, they might go a week without eating.
I know.
That's a patient calling.
Oh. And then we have, so anyway, all these also treat diabetes in addition to obesity. And they're very effective for diabetes too. So if you're out there and you have to lose weight, or you have to lose weight and you have diabetes, these are the best drugs that I've seen come down the line so far.
Yeah, I think so. But we have noticed too, we have, a few people who don't have diabetes and have passed out.
Yes.
So it can affect your sugar if you're
they were
taking a high
bigger
dose.
Doses. Yeah.
If you're taking a higher dose, you do need to monitor your glucose.
Yeah.
If you're, so our patients, that have told me that they've passed out, it's been on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out in the heat,
Drinking
they're probably
beer.
drinking some beers,
Mm-hmm.
A little dehydrated, and poof, they just go down. And they get up and they're like, oh, what happened?
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to monitor your glucose if you're taking high doses. If you're on a lower dose, you don't necessarily need to do that unless you have hypoglycemia anyway.
The way I tell patients to do this drugs are start at the starter dose, go up to a dose, whether it be 50 units or 75 units, lose your weight, and then try to get off of it.
Right.
And that's the key. The last part's the problem, the hard part to get off of it, because you become so acclimated to living your life with it that's just like, oh.
Right. I think microdosing, though, is ideal also once you've lost your weight.
Just taking like 25 units?
Taking 25 units once a week or maybe every couple weeks. To help you with your appetite control.
What about these other things that they're saying that it can do? Like I remember I told you that one patient said that he had a friend that had some eye problems, and then he went to his eye doctor, and the eye doctor says, look, I don't know what you're doing, but it's fixed your eye problem. And basically the only thing he was doing different was doing a GLP-1.
Right. I think that there's also research that it helps with joint pain. So, I don't know. Is it because people lose weight and they take the weight off their joints?
Right.
Or does it really
Is there
help?
something else going on?
Right. Or does it really help joint pain for someone with a chronic illness?
And and there's been a few patients who have done it who have not succeeded, and those were both men. And there was one woman. And the men, it just didn't work. And then the woman caused GI upset, distress, whatever.
So you can eat
Problems.
through it.
Yeah.
You can, if you have a history of overeating,
Yeah.
you can eat through it. Now you might have nausea, maybe diarrhea. You're going to probably have side effects. But if you have an eating disorder where you just
Right.
eat,
Right.
well, then, you're just going to,
Yeah. And then some people, maybe it just doesn't work, because there are some people that we've had who actually semaglutide works better than the tirzepatide for them. The one that would just switch to the oral. So that's the other one about the oral one. The oral medicine,
right?
Oral
So
Wegovy.
we have a couple of patients on that, on the oral, and one that we know of is doing well.
Yeah.
The other patient
He's
just
on his
started.
second month.
Right.
So oral Wegovy you can get from the manufacturer with Trump RX. Well, anything, but it's called Trump RX is like the gateway to figure it out. Anyway,
but it's also $149 on GoodRx.
yeah. And Trump basically called these pharmaceutical companies in and said, make them more affordable.
Right.
And because Trump's Trump, they did.
Right. The list is very small though. There's not a lot of GLPs on there.
Yeah.
I believe it's just the Wegovy oral.
Yeah, orals. I don't know actually.
I reviewed the list and I think that's the only one that's on there.
But the oral semaglutide or oral Wegovy, they call it, is $149 a month, which some people pay $149 a month for, whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely a good
arthritis
price.
pills or whatever.
Yeah, it is a decent price.
Yeah.
Monjero is still $9.99.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for Trump, oral Wegovy would be thousands of dollars a month.
Right.
And then it would only. But the thing is, when I was starting medical school, I interviewed with this doctor, and he was a doctor at USF, and we were talking about. This was like 2002, and we were talking about different things, and we were talking about the problems of what was going on at that point, and it's the same as it always has been: as pharmaceuticals cost too much money. And he said to me, which kind of was interesting because this was kind of early in my understanding of before my understanding of medical economics, because I hadn't been to medical school yet. And he said that the best way to lower drug prices is to make it illegal for insurance to pay for drugs. And the reason his point is because then drugs would have to be affordable.
Right.
Because people, and it's economics, people would not be able to buy them. And that's what kind of Trump has done with the preferred pricing for America. He said, look, you sell these products in Europe and wherever for less than what you're selling it here. And then you stick it to us to pay for selling them subsidized stuff.
Right.
We don't want to do that anymore. And that's kind of where the whole oral Wegovy, the 149 kind of is like, I think they were like, okay, here, back off a little bit. Here's kind of like a peace offering.
Right.
But he's right, is that's how they get around it. Because they say, well, we can't pay for research and development unless we stick it to the Americans, because Europeans have passed laws saying we're not going to pay more than this. So the drug company is just like, okay, well, pay what you will. We'll stick it to the Americans. And for the longest time, American politicians have been like, and our guys will bend over.
Mm-hmm.
No big deal. Well, the Americans will bend over and take it just like everything else, just like defense spending and NATO and everything else. But anyway, I think that's what the impetus was behind that $149 a month for Wegovy oral.
Right. It's a start. There's a lot of other drugs that are still overpriced, like biologics, for instance.
Rheumatoid drugs.
Yes. So
$5,000 a month.
Well, now they're about $7,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's typically, a lot of people take them once a week or once every 2 weeks. So $7,000 for 2 injections or possibly 4 injections. $7,000.
Well, back to that doctor who was interviewing me, back to his point is that, you're going to have to sell the drugs at some level that's reasonable. And that's the way economics works, is they're going to make a profit. They have to in order to sell the product. And it's going to be, it is going to be what it is. The market will work things out. And I think most people out there will be thinking, well, then that product will never see the light of day. And I don't know if that's true. If there's money to be made, it will be made. Now, will they make as much money? Maybe not. Will the spending be different? Maybe they won't be spending as much money on damn commercials. Every commercial is about autoimmune disease or something else. It's usually about autoimmune disease.
Right. If a CEO of an insurance company is making $50 million, think of how much money they're making. So much money, they can most definitely bring down the price of drugs.
Well, the salaries, and that is true. Yes, if the CEO is making $50 million a year, then yes, there is room for improvement. But their budgets, it's just like the budgets of the states. If you look at the budgets, you can find room to cut.
Oh, absolutely.
They act like, well, any penny is going to send the company or the government into bankruptcy. That's not true. but they would figure it out.
They would figure it out. And it is being figured out because now we have biosimilars.
Yeah.
So they're having these biosimilars come about. And hopefully that's going to make the biologics come down, because people are going to say, well, if I can take a biosimilar, then why would I want the biologic? I can pay for a biosimilar for $1,000 versus $7,000 a month.
Yeah. So that's update on weight loss drugs, semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide, whatever. That's soon to come. And in our opinion, tirzepatide is probably the best one over semaglutide. Unless for some reason your insurance pays for semaglutide or semaglutide, then maybe you should consider that. We have one patient her insurance will pay for Wegovy, which is the weight loss version of semaglutide. And she says, I'll stick with paying the cash price for the compounded tirzepatide because she thinks it's better.
Well, and if it's the same patient I think you're talking about, she also does not want to take a pill every day.
Yeah, but she doesn't even want the Wegovy injection either.
Oh, okay.
Because she's approved for that. She just doesn't, she figures it's not worth it to me.
Okay. Yeah, don't you think injectable over oral always seems to work better a lot of times?
Well, for a peptide, I think it seems like it would, although this one patient that we were talking about earlier, he's on his second month, so presumably it's working. But peptides are proteins, and proteins typically don't like acid, really don't like acid. So it's hard to put, I think, a peptide that's pharmaceutically active into your stomach. Although there are peptides in stomachs too. I don't know. I'm no biochemist.
Well, we did have a patient, or he might still be taking BPC 157.
I want to talk
orally, instead of injectable.
Oh yeah, I want to talk a little bit about those two. So those are the weight loss peptides: is semaglutide, tirzepatide, and the retatrutide is going to be coming. And then there's a couple other peptides that we have in our practice that people use that are like, and you know more about those than me.
Well, the three that we most commonly order is Pentadeca, which was previously called BPC 157,
and that's for kind of joint problems, kind of to help you recover.
Right. And a lot of them are for detoxing as well. And then
detoxing from
inflammation in your body.
Oh, okay. Not from like drugs.
No. Inflammation.
Okay.
Which everyone has some inflammation in their body.
Right.
And then Sermorelin, which people like that also. And
that stimulates GH, growth hormone.
Right. And then
release.
TB 500, which is also for recovery.
Mm-hmm. And then, so usually when people take those, they take them like for a period of time and then they don't take them.
Well, ideally you should take them for maybe 3 months, then take a break.
Yeah.
And, there's also NAD, there's glutathione. Those are also used in our office. But yes, you take them for a period of time and then you give your body a break and then you can resume.
I started taking glutathione because I found out through Ancestry DNA that I actually have G6PD deficiency, which explains a lot of the reasons when I was a kid that I would become very ill very quickly, is because my body lacks the glucose 6 dehydrogenase enzyme in appreciable numbers. And so that's the only way that red blood cells can detoxify. So when I get sick and there's a lot of toxins from like infection, viruses and things like that, red blood cells just rupture. Another thing that causes it to rupture, can cause it, is alcohol. And I've noticed since I've gotten older that I don't want to drink as much alcohol. And if I do drink alcohol, I tend to I never had this before, but I don't get hungover, but I get like leg pain.
Leg pain, that's interesting.
And that's the same pain I get when I'm sick. When I'm sick, if I get like the flu or whatever, COVID, I had COVID once, I wasn't that sick, but if I get the flu, my legs feel like they're just, oh my gosh, being clawed apart by a claw hammer. It's just awful. And I think I've read about it, and I think that's a sign of hemolytic anemia. Or hemolysis, blood cells, autoimmune whatever. Forgot what it's called. Anyway, hemolysis of the red blood cells. Anyway, I take glutathione because of that.
Right. You do the injectable. I think there is oral, right?
Yeah. And then the difference is it the reduced form or not? And the reduced form is what I have to have because I also end up having MTHFR, which means that I can't regenerate. I can't regenerate. Oh, the hell, I'm losing my track of my. I'd have to look it up. But anyway, MTHFR makes it hard for me to get homocysteine too. So I have like a double-edged sword, or hard to get glutathione because MTHFR, I think reduces glutathione, and I have to take reduced glutathione because my MTHFR is messed up.
Complicated.
And all that I found out though through Ancestry DNA. If you're interested and you're not concerned about your DNA being quote out there, and there might be other places where you can get your DNA raw data. I'm not sure what they are, but Ancestry DNA, for instance, if you do Ancestry DNA and you go to ancestry.com and you want to find out where you're from, blah, 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 you can do that. And then you can go into your file under your profile and download the raw data. And then if you download the raw data, you can go to this website called xcode.life. And you can upload your raw data, which is a text document. And then they will, within 24 hours, usually within a few hours, send you back multiple PDFs.
Yeah, it's really interesting to do.
Yeah. And now what I'm going to do, since AI has become more sophisticated, I'm going to actually take my PDFs, because before I had to do it manually. I'm going to upload my PDFs to one of them and then have them interpret them.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Because it said, for instance, for the hemolytic anemia one, it says on my genomics from Xcode Life, it said risk of anemia. And it said it's like below average, average, or above average, I think. And mine was above average. And then it said the reasons why, and it listed a couple genes at the bottom that were like affected genes, and it's like a 12 letter or number code. And then I was like, okay, what is that? So then I copied it and pasted it, and then it told me what it was. But now AI is so sophisticated, you can probably just upload all the documents and be like, all right, give me a summary, and it'll spit it out. It's really cool how quickly.
Yeah, we both need to do that.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so BPC 157 is now called Pentadeca.
Yes, but BPC 157, RFK is going to be allowing that to be made in the compounding pharmacies. There's a list of about 15 different peptides,
right? So
that he's going to allow.
Right.
BPC 157 is on that list.
And that's kind of why he's the enemy of the establishment, because he's doing this, and this is thumbing in the eye of the pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
Because they would love to say, we're going to make a drug based on BP 157, name it some dumbass name, like whatever, make up some kind of chemical name to it that nobody can pronounce, and then make a brand name, call it Joint Flex or whatever, and then sell it for $2,000, $5,000 a month. Right.
We know that BPC 157 is in clinical trials.
Yeah.
We know that it's being used on mice for, they're researching treatment for MS and rheumatoid.
Wow.
So there's a good chance. So if everything goes well in clinical research trials, it will come to the market. It will go in commercial pharmacies. You'll no longer be able to get it from compounding pharmacies unless they tweak it, of course. Mm-hmm. And then it'd be a biologic most likely and be sold for a lot more than $2,000.
Then they'll have Super Bowl commercials.
Yeah. So then it'd be like $6,000 or $7,000 for the same drug that you can get right now from a compounding pharmacy for less than $200.
Right. You know, it's interesting how these drug companies' economics work, because you'd think, why not sell it to a bunch of people for a reasonable amount rather than sell it just to a few people for a huge amount?
I think enough people buy it.
Yeah, it must make. I mean, they must have well, obviously they do. They have CFOs and mathematicians and people on their in their company who say, look, don't sell it at the market price, sell it at this price. We'll have this Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know about compounding pharmacies. So we know that we deal with compounding pharmacies on the daily.
Yeah.
Compounding pharmacies in the state of Florida and several other states, they cannot make a product that a commercial pharmacy also, sells. They have to tweak it a little bit, just like with Tirzepatide, they put B12 in it. So it's different than the commercial pharmacy, which I think is crazy also. I think compounding pharmacies can make whatever, as long as they're doing everything they're supposed to do, the sterility. They should be able to make drugs and offer them at a lower price.
Well, the reason they can make Tirzepatide is because there's a shortage.
Right. That's the only reason right now.
Right now.
So, but right now, so like last year, Tirzepatide is not allowed to be offered in clinics. You cannot buy a bottle of Tirzepatide and then distribute it to
Right.
20,
You have
30
to-
different patients.
It's got to be patient specific,
It's going to be patient specific.
which is what
now.
we do anyway.
We did that already.
Yeah.
But all these
That
weight
hurts
loss.
that hurts the weight loss clinics who are
Right.
like, join for $500 a month, come in weekly and get your shot.
Right. Yeah. So they're making
Yeah.
a killing.
And most patients, if they were ever to go into their insurance doctor and say, "Oh, I'm interested in peptides," they would just be like,
Oh, to regular doctor's office?
"Yeah," they'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
It would be very
I don't know what you're talking
difficult.
about, or we're not going to talk about this.
Right.
You've got 5 minutes, dude. I'm gonna refill your cholesterol medicine. I'm gonna skim over your labs, and I'm gonna click a bunch of boxes, and you're out the door.
Yes.
And we don't have time for peptides.
Yeah. They're not interested in doing that. We had a patient that joined. Remember, they wouldn't check her B12. And then they finally said, okay, we'll check your B12 level. And it was low. And then they didn't want to treat her.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because, like you said, a lot of people don't know about compounding pharmacies. A lot of people don't know about concierge medicine, direct primary care. They have no idea. I mean, we have patients join. We had that one patient, he's telling his friend, he's like, I want a practice where I can email my doctor, where I can, sit down and talk with them for a long time. And I want to be able to text them. I wish that was available.
Yeah.
And his friend's like, yeah, it's concierge medicine. Dude.
Yeah. His friend, who was a doctor, said, this is what you want. You want concierge medicine.
Yeah. So it's interesting. All right. Moving along. I wanted to cover your. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to cover this. Tracy's famous turmeric ginger shot, while we're on the subject of alternative medicines. So tell us a little bit about how you came about figuring this out.
Well, I seen it online, so I figured if it's online, it's got to be true. But on Instagram, I saw a lot of people making these at home. So you can buy them in the stores. They're usually $2 to $3 for a shot. And I'd seen them in the stores. I'd seen them online. People started making them themselves because $3 a shot every day, it could be $100 a month. And then I just said, well, I'm going to try making it myself. And it's so easy. I make 2 weeks at a time, stick them in the refrigerator, and then do a shot. Mine's turmeric, ginger, and I add a little bit of citrus also. And you got to have black pepper because black pepper is what makes the turmeric work. So you have to have that. Some people put in Cajun spice as well. I actually need to make some this weekend. I just bought my turmeric. I always buy the organic turmeric. You can buy the organic turmeric from Publix, and then you can get organic ginger from Costco. Make a small batch, store the rest in the freezer. I like it. Livia has done it before. Yeah, she likes it.
It's very refreshing.
Yeah, if you do not add, I like to add oranges, orange juice, fresh squeezed orange juice, lime, lemon, and then, yes, it is refreshing.
They have it available too. I had it in Costco once, and I took it, and it was nothing compared to yours. It was like, I could tell that when I took it, I was like, yeah, there's no way this is going to have the same effect because it is basically watered down. But go over real quick how to make it. I mean, you don't have to do step by step.
Well, I just take the ginger, wash it. I do not peel it. Put it in my blender. The same with the turmeric. I just wash it, throw it in my blender. I use an old blender because the turmeric will stain. So I use my old Ninja, put it in there with filtered water, blend it, and then strain it. You have to strain it
with a colander. Here's
Yep.
a picture. So on a website,
several times until you get this smooth consistency.
Yeah.
They refer to it on social media as gold.
Uh-huh.
It's very smooth looking. You can see with me holding it in the spoon,
Yeah.
but you could just keep straining it. And then I put it into a bowl, and then that's when I squeeze my fresh oranges, lemon, lime, put it with put some pepper in, about a teaspoon of pepper. And then I put them in individual little jars so that way I can just take it out of the refrigerator and do a shot.
Now, I was going to say, oh yeah. So this is on drtommy.com/blog. Anyway, this is her pictures, a step-by-step how to do it.
Yeah. And depending on, I've got it cut up there, the ginger and turmeric. Depending on your machine, you might not need to do that. Like I said, my Ninja's an old Ninja. I don't want to use my new one because I don't want it to stain. You should also wear gloves.
And then you had it here in this big bottle, but now you put them in those little single dose vials.
Yeah, it's just easier. I got them off of Amazon, 12 bottles, very cheap. And then I can just take one out of the refrigerator, down it,
and then
I'm out the door.
And then what's your, what do you feel like after you do them?
Well, it's refreshing when I taste it, when I drink it. And also it helps with joint pain.
And it helps how soon?
Well, I do it every day. Well, I haven't done it.
I mean, when you first started it, when could you say, oh, this works?
Oh, pretty quickly, a day.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to feel it pretty immediate.
And your dad does them too for his neck.
My dad has neck pain. So my mom used to make it for him.
Oh, tell him about the first time your mom made it.
Yes, the first time my mom made it. She sends me a text and she's like, okay, I've got it made. And she sends me a picture. What do I do with it now? And I said, well, where's the liquid? She goes, oh, well, I poured that down the sink.
Oh my god!
Why would you pour that down the sink? Anyway,
she saved the basically all of the husks.
Yeah. So anyway, she messed up.
She poured the gold down the sink.
Yeah. So anyway, she finally got it right, and now and she refuses to drink it. My sister won't drink it.
Yeah.
They don't like to drink anything that tastes gross, but it's a quick shot,
And your mom doesn't like to have fresh eggs either. She prefers them from the store.
Yes.
She prefers fish in the shape of squares and rectangles.
Yes.
She
So
won't
anyway,
eat oyster.
now my dad makes his own turmeric shots. He adds a little bit of pineapple juice or orange juice. A lot of times he doesn't use fresh, but he just uses it from the container. And he swears by it also. Now, turmeric, we know that does act as a blood thinner.
Yes.
So you do have to be careful with that if you're already taking an aspirin.
Mm-hmm. All right. Turmeric and drtommy.com/blog.
Right. And when we have patients that buy it, so they don't have the time to make it.
But like I said, I bought I think it was Cunol brand in Costco. It was nothing compared to yours. I could tell it was weak. I don't know if it'll do anything, honestly. Okay. I wanted to do a couple movie reviews real quick. We saw Scream 7 recently. This marks the return of, what's her name?
I was going to say Drew Barrymore, but no, Drew Barrymore was not in it.
Shoot. Let me just scroll down. It marks the return of Neve Campbell.
Yes.
So Neve Campbell was not in the last one. She was absent. And the last one took place in New York City. And this one takes place in the city where Neve Campbell is living, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And it's a good movie. I thought it was good. It was entertaining.
I thought it was good.
This actually was this was directed by Kevin Williamson, who has written or been involved with writing every Scream, I believe, since the original.
Okay.
And so now he's actually directing this one, which is interesting.
Right. And I believe Neve Campbell helped produce it, right?
Oh, yeah. Neve Campbell produced it.
And Courtney Cox.
And Courtney Cox, executive produced it.
I thought it was a really great movie. The previous movies, sometimes there's a little bit of comedy in it.
Almost to the point of being like a scary movie comedy. It's just like,
and
it's like a parody of itself almost within the same movie.
Yeah, and I didn't like that. This part 7 though was really good.
So Courtney Cox returns, Neve Campbell returns. Not to give it away, but David Arquette returns in a cameo. And the very beginning of the movie has a alumnus from both Landman and 1923.
Mm-hmm.
And her name is, which one's her? She's Michelle Randolph.
Michelle Randolph.
And I'm not going to give it away, but Michelle Randolph's in the movie. But
right. And the other, what's the other one's name?
The other one's Isabel May. Now, Isabel May, she's the one that was in 1883 and the narrator for 1923.
Yes.
Yes. So that's who she is. And so I thought it was Jennifer Lawrence's sister or something. She looks so similar to her.
Yeah, I thought so
and she
too.
acted like her almost.
Yeah, she looked like her. She sounded like her.
Yeah.
And I felt like we knew her,
Yeah.
But then once we checked it out. We're
Yes.
like, oh, okay, this is how we know her.
Mm-hmm.
But she looked very different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she looked different to me. You know, she didn't look like what she looked like in 1880? What was it?
1883.
1883.
I'm going to play a little bit of trailer.
This is it.
Can't believe we're staying at the Psycho Killer B&B.
Oh, that's so cool. It's a motion detector.
Uh-oh. Oh, I'm not going to show you what happens. Anyway, that's a good movie. Now, another movie is Dracula. We saw this. Dracula, A Love Tale, it's called, in some places. It's actually directed by this guy named Luke Besson, and he was the guy who directed. Do you remember that movie called The Professional?
No.
Oh, Leon the Professional. It's actually the first movie that starred, what's her name? I'll have to look it up on this other one. Anyway, Luke Besson is the guy. Tell him about that movie.
Which one? Dracula?
Yeah.
Oh, it was wonderful. I loved it. Now there's some mixed reviews about it, but it's a remake, of Dracula.
Right. It's derivative of no shit. It's
Right.
derivative. It's of Dracula. It's like saying, Alice in Wonderland movie was derivative or Snow White was derivative.
Right. It's a remake of Dracula. I loved it. I loved how they, in the movie, they showed the before, because in the last Dracula we watched, we really didn't know how she knew him.
Mm-hmm.
And in this Dracula, it highlights that.
Right.
And I love that part.
Yeah. So it's similar to Bram Stoker's Dracula, if you remember that from 1992, maybe. And the story, the screenplay is very similar. It starts off back in the 1400s or 1400s. There's this prince. He goes to war. He gets mad at God, basically renounces God. And then flash forward 300 years later, here he is, old guy. That's exactly like Bram Stoker's Dracula was. And it does follow along the same ways. So it's a really good movie. And Christopher Waltz is in it. He's famous for being in, what is he in? He's been in a lot of stuff, but he was in Inglourious Bastards. That's where he had his breakout role, Inglourious Bastards. And he was also in James Bond movies. I think he played Spectre or something like that. Anyway, he's been kind of like the charismatic bad guy go-to since being in Inglourious Bastards, which was one of my favorite movies. But back to the Dracula movie. Yeah, I think the Dracula movie was really good. It did not do well in the box office. And also, this is how you can tell if a movie's really good. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it has a low critic score by a high audience score. That's usually how you know a movie is good.
Right. It's good. If you're into Dracula, go watch it.
Yes. It's probably not in the theaters anymore.
Oh, that's true. It probably isn't.
Here's that movie I was talking about, Leon the Professional. This is a good movie. This is back in 1990. Let's see what year this was. 94. So Leon the Professional, and it stars this guy, Jean Reno. He's been in a lot of movies. He's in a lot of the Mission Impossible movies. But this also stars little Natalie Portman. There she is right there.
Oh.
Little Natalie Portman, 1994. It's a very good movie. It's about this guy who's an assassin and a little girl who becomes like his protege. And then Gary Oldman's in it too. Very good. Gary Oldman. It's a very good movie. The Professional.
I'll have to watch it.
Leon the Professional. Dracula, Leon the Professional, and Scream 7, all recommended by the Dr. Tommy Show, Tracy and Tommy. I give them all 2 thumbs up. Well,
Yeah.
You don't know about
I don't know
Leon,
about The Professional, but the other 2, I mean, and Scream is good. I will watch if they come out with an 8. I will be in.
They're coming out with an 8.
I'll be in the movies watching 8.
They're guaranteed to come out with an 8. All right. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. drtommyshow.com/podcast. Watch live on Rumble or YouTube. Watch or listen on Spotify, and listen on anywhere else that you really want to listen. Happy Easter to those of you out there who celebrate it, and we'll see you next time. Until next time, bye-bye.